Ugh. Wow. 24 hours of StreamYard adventures. Let me tell you. Had some technical difficulties last night with the show. I had to go and do some post edit, and then the show kind of got screwed up, so I wasn't able to re-upload it, especially on my side where I originated it from. So, oh well, wasn't like it was our main anchor show anyway. But hey, welcome to the Sci-Fi Center Semi Overnighter. I am literally in the closest to lying down position as you can get. My feet are hurting and my back is still hurting, but hey, I got my massage things going on. You can't hear them in the background, but they're working. Welcome to the weekend. Welcome to Friday. Happy Friday night. Rolling into a weekend what looks like a hurricane or whatever the hell it is off the coast of California. We can already get the rain and everything here. We're already feeling the rain. It's been showering and thunder showers all day, which is great. It's been like 80 or 85 degrees. It's been great. I mean, we're getting into that part of the year where it is my absolute favorite part of the year. I mean, literally, I sing and dance through the streets during autumn or fall, whatever you want to call it. It's not summer. That's the best thing. The best thing about fall is it's not summer, and you can actually do stuff without cranking up your air conditioner or your heater. It's right in the middle. I mean, I wish it lasted longer. I wish fall lasted like 7 or 8 months. I like half the year. Now, in some places around the world and around the nation where you actually have seasons, maybe that's the case. But here in Vegas, we have from May till early September. It's hell. Then it gets super cold. Then it gets springtime for about 2 hours, and then we're back to hell. So when fall comes around, it's just beautiful. Hell on my allergies though, but I don't care. I will suffer through allergies. I would rather suffer through the allergies than internally boil for 3.5 months. So happy, 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 joy, joy, joy. Let's see. How you doing? Hal Jordan. Aaron Pritchard, what's going on? Anthony Mangiano. Yeah, Hawaii was burning, and California's got a hurricane. What the hell that's going on? And like I said, Nevada, where we got the rain. So Idaho, yeah, it's just weird, man. It's like one of those science fiction movies. It's literally like the day after tomorrow. So tonight's show is basically going to be me leaning back, answering whatever, and getting you guys ready for the semi overnighter, or not semi overnighter, the full overnighter tomorrow. That will be me and Brad Curran from Screen Rat. We will be going over the week's news. We'll probably find someone who's seen Blue Beetle and bring them on for a review. I might pick one of you guys to do it because I have not seen it yet. So I might just pull one of you guys out of the chat and bring you on to give your review of Blue Beetle, which I am flirting with the idea of seeing it on maybe Sunday, if at all. I don't know. I mean, I've heard good things about it. I've also heard some other things about it, but usually those things don't really deter me from seeing a movie. The thing that usually deters me from seeing a movie is if I care enough about the character, and I just don't. Sorry. I know there's a lot of people out there that adore Blue Beetle and Booster Gold and Fox and Guy Gardner and what I call the goofball tier of Justice League. I've just never been a fan of those characters, and whenever I saw them creeping into the comics, like I always say, that's when I knew it was time to stop collecting Justice League. When my Hal Jordan Green Lantern left and Guy Gardner took his place, or when John Stewart left and Guy Gardner was the replacement, I was like, okay, there's where my run of this comic stops. And usually, like I said, it wasn't too long after that those comics would get canceled because those characters just can't carry readers. So it'll be interesting to see what Blue Beetle does at the box office. I think it pulled in 3 million yesterday, but like I said, in the long run of things, I'm starting to believe, and nobody wants to believe me, that the box office is going to mean less and less and less to these companies. I really, really think that these movie companies their sole mission right now is to get these movies onto streaming or PVOD as soon as possible, to give them the minimum qualifications of being in the theater. Not Flight, but The Last Voyage of the Demeter will be on streaming the 28th of this month. I just did a screening for the movie not 2 weeks ago. Flight. Let me pull this up. I'm pretty sure Flight of the Demeter is going to be. Hold on, I think I saw this on Wonder Meg. She put this on. Not Flight of the Demeter. Last Voyage of the Demeter. Why did I hate Flight of the Demeter? Let's see. Still in the theaters. Let's see. Streaming date. All right. When is the release date for The Last Voyage of the Demeter? The Last Voyage of the Demeter comes out in the U.S. and Canada on August 11th. Okay, that's this date that. Okay, hold on. Let me pull up. Twitter. You know what? This X on Twitter thing is driving me nuts, man. I keep looking for the little bird, and this X thing is, kind of crappy. So let's see. On her thing, here we are. The Hollywood Handles. All right, so I'm going to share the screen real quick. See if I don't do this without screening this up. Share screen. Yeah, so there we go. The Last Voyage of the Demeter hits digital platforms on August 29th. That's like literally 10 days from now. Now, I enjoyed this movie, but I don't think it matters how much the movie was going to make. If you have a date of August, this is a review. If you have a date that you can release on August 18th about a streaming date of the 29th, I'm sorry, but you had to have had that as your one of your major plans going in. And I've been saying this for a while that people keep saying that the streaming bubble is burst, but you look at this is not the only movie. There are several movies out there that are getting releases in theaters, but literally, Last Voyage of the Demeter came out. It hit theaters on the 11th. It'll be on streaming on the 29th. Now, if that's happening, that quick turnaround, then that decision is having to be made prior to a box office result, because you got to have things in place in order to just throw something out there on the 29th. So my suspicion is that it was always going to be their plan. And I have this suspicion about, some of the movies, you like even the Flash, as much money as they put into the Flash, I think they had a streaming date ready for the Flash movie beforehand. But with some of these movies like this, it was released in theaters on August 11th, and it is on streaming on the 29th. And it's still in the theaters right now, which tells me, everybody's telling me, the theaters is the way to go, and the companies finally realize this. Look at streaming is suffering. Yeah, and I got some beachfront property right here off of the Strip in Las Vegas to sell you. I really think that they're using the theaters to basically mark off that box, do what they can to keep the theaters open, I guess, because, the first 2 weeks you're going to make your money anyway. Whatever you're going to, 82% of a movie's money is probably going to be made in its first 2 weeks anyway. But like I said, I think that they're going into these movies with that plan. I think that when you're sitting down pitching somebody, say, hey, we're going to make this movie about Dracula on a boat, I think the person who greenlights it and the person who pays them is wholly considering
how fast can I get this on the streaming and PVOD? And it's a good movie. This is the kind of movie that even for a date night vampire movie, you get it on PVOD and it costs you $25, maybe 30, and you got all your food there. Your gas is saved. Your overpriced hot dog and your overpriced, your $8 soda or whatever the hell it is you're getting, candy, chocolate, all that is saved because you went to Costco and got that, and that can spread over several movies. So for a date night, you can lay down the PVOD money. A lot of people are going to do that, and I think that these studios are realizing that's where their money is going to come from, and I think it's going to factor in to the budgeting and the green lighting of these movies. Like if you can say a movie's going to suck, it's like, you know what, that we're going to spend this much, and this is how much we can make it on a out in the box office. But if it sits on POVD a month afterwards for another 30 days, we can make some more money off that. And I guarantee you they're getting a higher percentage of that. So that's and I remember weeks ago I said that I think we're going to see 30-day windows when it comes to movies on getting on streaming, if not sooner. I didn't realize it will be this soon. Released in August in the theaters, will be on streaming in August within 3 weeks. Wow. So, hey, I'm all for it because, to be honest with you, the movies I want to see, I'm seeing the first couple of days. Like Dune, day and date for Dune, when that happened, guess where I saw Dune? In the movie theater. Blade Runner, movies that I want to see, I'm going to the movie theater to see them. But I'm not a father of 2 or 3 with a wife. I am not having to manage a family budget. And these Hollywood guys, they know this. They know this. And like I said, they have to know, they have to have had these plans going in to the green lighting of some of these movies. Let's see what it let's see what it pulled in. So all right, so total it's made 9 million, but what was, like I said, I know box office talk gets old, but when you think about the landscape we're in, it's kind of relevant to like even the strike, because eventually what's going to happen? What are we fighting over? We're fighting over revenue sources, and PVOD is a revenue source. So they're kind of, I think, in my opinion, looking to do a workaround with paying bonuses and percentages in the box office by getting it on PVOD, because a lot of these guys don't have deals on there unless you're a big name star. But eventually, like I said, something like the strike is going to have to deal with residuals even on PVOD. So even this might not last. So yeah, it costs $45 million to make, which is relatively cheap, but I could easily see this pulling in a good chunk of change on PVOD. So that is very interesting. All right, let's see. Hi, Jacob. What's going on? Even Canada's burning. Yeah, we're getting smoke. Yeah, Canada again. Canada's burning again. Wow, damn. Hi, William. I watched Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, and noticed that it seems like a horror genre. Does it really mix? But actually, you know what? To be quite honest with you, Anthony, if you are a reader of some of the best Doctor Strange stories out there, even the most corny stuff, the best Doctor Strange stuff is horror based. It's horror and magic based. My least favorite Doctor Strange stuff is when he's entangled with superheroes. The best Doctor Strange stuff is the horror stuff, and for all the flaws that I thought Multiverse of Madness had, the fact that Sam Raimi used a lot of his horror elements that from his repertoire in there, I thought was one of the better things about it. But yeah, if it's accurate, in my opinion, it's accurate to the actual character. Even some of the older stuff from Strange Tales, it's written like a 50s, 60s, 70s horror story. No wildfires, but I live in a desert, so I guess a drought is pretty much the thing here. Hey, Spider-Man 7285, how was your vacation? Glad to see you made it back safely. How you doing, Grocery? Yes, I did. I saw his tweet. I mean, I'm waiting for a date, but he seems to be creeping back, inching back closer to getting back on the air. It'll be fun to be on a panel. I'm not a panel guy. I don't do a lot of panels, as you know. My show, I just do a lot. I just do what I can control. But it'll be kind of cool to be on one. It's been a long time since I've been on one of his panels, been on one of his shows. So I'm just waiting for him to make an announcement on when he's going to be back. I've been watching his play stuff. He's been doing the play stuff, the allergic cat thing with his new girlfriend. I saw he posted a picture of a cat. So I hope his foot's okay. Yeah. We all wait the return of the Mike. William, should I believe the rumors that Disney is going to be selling off Pixar and Star Wars to others to another cost streaming service, possibly Amazon or Apple? I don't know about Star Wars. Pixar, I can see. It all depends on if they're trying. I mean, I always hear people saying that they're trying to sell Disney to Apple. Well, I don't think Apple wants any part of Pixar again. I mean, they had it. That was the whole Steve Jobs situation. I don't know if Amazon or Apple would want anything beyond just the studios itself. And I think Star Wars is a huge part of that. I don't think Star Wars would be part of the sell. I think if someone were to acquire Disney as a whole, Star Wars would have to be part of that deal. So I don't see them selling out. Pixar, maybe. Yeah, man. I mean, X is like, you think of X, you think of porn. I mean, at least it's just one X. But it just looks weird. They didn't change the name from Twitter. You type in Twitter, it's still there. But this X thing, and on my phone, because like I said, I'm not the biggest Twitter head. So I'm struggling to find it on my phone. And like, I have it placed where I am. And then I see X, and I'm like, ooh. Like I said a couple weeks ago, I almost deleted it. Because every now and then, you get into something and you'll get downloaded, solicited. It's like, no, I don't want online dating. I don't want any of that stuff. Delete, and I'm like, what is this? There's something seep into my phone and download itself. And I'm like, oh, nope, it's Twitter. It's Twitter. Yeah, please change that back. Yeah, and as much as I liked it in the movies, I had fun. I thought it was a very clever, and especially if you're a fan of the source material. But you know what? At the same time, some people are just not going to go to the theaters for certain movies. And I'm in this reality. Do I want them to? I would rather you see the movie, period. Just like the same thing with Dune. Not everybody was going to go see Dune and give Dune a chance in the theater. But I want them to give it a chance somewhere. So when Dune 2 comes around, we now have a following to make a stronger swing at it. So I think any I would prefer you saw the Demeter because it's cool. The storm, it's all cool when you see it on the big screen. But guess what? If the options are you never giving the movie a chance, then see it on PVOD, man. Anthony, I think the movie you're talking about is one of these movies that the movie studio wanted to do like a 1 or 2 week run theaters, and they didn't get. Yeah, and like I said, people are going to say, "No, the box office matters." Why are you going? I'm like, okay, then explain to me. This is quick, man. I mean, damn. I literally was just previewing this movie and handing out T-shirts for this movie. Like, I think last week? Yeah, it was last week because it wasn't this past Wednesday. It was the prior Wednesday. So literally the next following Wednesday, it's going to be on streaming, or next following weekend. Which, hey, you know what? If that justifies the $45 that you spent on it, fine. And if they make a considerable amount of change on this movie, to make their money back, and they're encouraged to be like, you know what? We can do these type of movies without having to worry about getting buried by box office. Because if say, for instance, like I can't believe they only waited a week or two, but maybe they saw, hey, you know what? We got as much mileage off of this as we can. 9 million, opening weekend or whatever. 6 million opening weekend, 9 million total. Let's go ahead and put it on streaming and maximize our thing. And what that allows the studios to do is it frees up other screens. Because a lot of these movies have multiple movies going on. I think that's one of the major problems, by the way, in a lot of these movies bombing. I really hope, I don't know if they can do this during a strike. I hope somebody negotiates. We need some space in between these movies. And the movies that are allegedly supposed to be box office, we don't need to have them releasing on either the same day or within 2 weeks of each other. I think the summertime is big enough to where you can spread out these release dates because you're forcing people to make a financial decision that might eliminate your movie. They may have 3 movies and they may like all 3 of them, but can they afford 3 trips to the movies 3 successive weeks in a row. Even if they delayed, you're still talking about 5 trips within like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. That's expensive when you figure out how much it costs for a family to go. And a lot of these movies are family type movies that you want the family to go to. So if you're trying to make money in the box office, then there's got to be some type of agreement with like NATO, because this is hurting the theaters as well. Some type of agreement where all parties involved, to where there's space in between these movies, so that give me a payday in between before you hit me with another blockbuster. And then, because by the time I get around to another payday with my wife and 3 kids or whatever, and my mortgage and all that, by the time I get enough money to go see the movie that I couldn't see the couple weeks before, another week it's on streaming, and then that decision's already made for me. So some of these movie choices these movies are gonna get eliminated. Some of these movies have failed not because they're bad movies, but because there's just only so much money that a consumer can spend at any given time or at any given window of time. So I think they need to think about that. Let's see, Manzano, and then throw it on streaming and digital release. That way they can make whatever money they miss by having a 90-day window. Yeah, and like I said, what's the average PVOD? I mean, I don't even know. I know there's some places where you can get PVOD numbers. Let's see, PVOD ratings. Okay. Oops. VOD ratings. VOD, video demand. Okay, I'm just trying to look and see, because I know there's some YouTubers that have charts on there, but I know The Flash is. Here we go. Nielsen has it. Okay, Nielsen.com, top 10. All right, Suits is still up there. Holy, I don't understand. Disney Plus, Bluey, Sweet Magnolias for Netflix. Netflix Paramount is NCIS. That's always had a strong. So those are puts and boosts. The Last Wish. Let's see. Hold on. I'm trying to find it where it has the. Wow, there's a lot on here. But the streaming numbers, there's original acquired. Okay, movies. Let's see. SBOD. So I can't find. I can find just the outright streaming ones that are on the streamer. Acquired. See, it's originals overall. I need to find that and have it ready for you guys tomorrow. But yeah, some of these movies are actually doing pretty well on streaming, so I can't really argue against the model. Yeah, her League of Their Own get canceled. Yeah, not even. So it's the season 2. Yeah, another casualty. This strike is. William thought Michael Kelly will portray Johnny Vitti in the Penguin spinoff series. Okay. I mean, I don't have any feelings one way or another. I guess I don't know of him as much as I should, maybe. But William Denny Villeneuve was pissed off about that, and that was his debut movie for a big tentpole blockbuster, and they put his movie on while it was still in theaters to affect. And you know what? And you all know how high regard I hold Denny Villeneuve. You can't. So this is not a swipe at him. But Dune is a complex IP. It is not the most accessible IP to the general audience. And I think had it not been day and day, there would have been a lot less eyeballs on it. And I think that when they took a look at that, because remember, these guys were afraid to greenlight Dune 2 until they saw what kind of viewership Dune 1 had. Because it would have been much cheaper for them to film Dunes 1 and 2. Man, this movie is a massively expensive, exotic movie. It would have been cheaper for them to just film it all at once. But they didn't know if there was going to even be a Dune 2 because they were worried about how it would do in the box office. But not only did it do well at the box office, but like I said, those people who saw it in the box office,
were going to see that movie in the box office. People like me were never going to see Dune anywhere else. So Dune made the money it was going to make at the box office. There's nobody I know, and very many people I know that was into Dune, that was going to see that movie in all of its splendor, that was going to watch it on their tiny movie screen. Dune made the money at the box office. I don't think there was much difference in between that, because I think people who were not going to pay to see Dune because they weren't into it, they weren't into that IP yet, I think they did watch it on. They did give it a chance on HBO Max, and I think it did get a following on HBO Max because people didn't have to risk $100 to go see a movie for them as an obscure IP. A lot of us geeks know what Dune is, but a lot of the general audience is like, that's a far off concept. But when you take away that financial risk and put it on HBO Max, and now they watched it, now you put Dune 2 out, you've gained a following that you already had with all of us that went and made its money in the theater, and you got the people who watched it on HBO Max that liked it, and now they're coming with us. So I sort of agree with them. I understand, but I really, really think that Dune gained a lot of people that would not have seen Dune and given Dune a chance because it was on day in day in, and that it was treated like that. So. And Nolan was the same way. Every director wants, the premium, the best, the best road to glory. But at the same time, I think they made the right decision with Dune. Now, don't do it with Dune 2 because you don't have to. But for that time, yeah, I think it's the right decision. But that's just my opinion, and I'm in the minority opinion. But that's fine. He also said the underboss of Falcone family, Johnny Beatty is his name. He's not a good guy. But it's a fun character to play. Lots of fun. Would have thought of Christopher Nolan used air blasters by surprise to recreate the Thomas Braun shot. Yeah, that's him. He does a lot of practical stuff. It was great. I left Hell AZ 110 for 4 weeks straight. Oh my goodness, to Minnesota. Ooh, real big. That's like going to the North Pole. It was nice, not cool. Although Canadian smoke is no joke. I'm coughing a lot still. It was nice to escape. Yeah, everything is burning. I thought it was pretty decent for what it was, but once again, I didn't pay a bunch of money to see it in the movie theater. I paid for it in the safety of my cheap ass subscription to Netflix, so I was like, William, thought on the budget of Blue Beetle was actually around 104 million deadline. Yeah, they said between 104 and 125, but which is like why I say that I think it's flop proof. I don't know. I mean, I have to see what the numbers are at the end, but once again, there are people who are going to watch Blue Beetle on PVO on demand. I'm one of them. There are full families that are good. This is the perfect movie from everything that everybody's telling me. This is the perfect movie to rush to PVOD. It's a family movie. You're making your money because you're getting that $20 or $30 out of that household. And remember, yeah, it's less than what they would get in a theater, but remember, they don't get all of that. They get a higher percentage off of PVOD and their own streaming services, of course, than they do. They get the collective advantage of having just one more thing to keep you subscribed to Max. It's Blue Beetle plus whatever else you're on there for. But with Blue Beetle coming out, you're like, oh, Blue Beetle's going to be on Max? Oh, okay. I'm renewing my subscription. Not just because of that, because it's just one more thing that keeps you coming. And that's what streaming services need to do. They need to have a collection of things to keep you coming to balance out the price you're paying versus the expense that they're incurring. So this is Blue Beetle is perfect for that, in my opinion, from what I could understand. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. And like I said, laugh at me right now. I would not be surprised right now if in a week or so we had a PVOD or streaming date for Blue Beetle. If they didn't already have it coming, because remember, Blue Beetle was made for streaming to begin with. So I'm thinking their justification was, hey, let's make some money off of this. We spent $100 million on it. I mean, we may say if it does $30 million during the weekend and we pull in the rest on PVOD, we break even at the most. If it doesn't pull in strong numbers box office wise, but they didn't know that going in. All they had were projections. But Blue Beetle is the perfect family of 4 movie to sit down and watch on PVOD. So I think it's good. What am I streaming?
What do you mean? What am I streaming? I maybe. I'm 10 minutes behind, so I'm not sure what what you mean. William, I think that's what hurt the box office a little for Dead Reckoning because it was so close to release. Yeah, you had Barbie, you had Oppenheimer, and you had Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. People love Mission Impossible movies. Well, when's the last time a Mission Impossible movie was released with that much sandwich in between it? And that's an expensive movie to make, man. If I drop $300 billion on a movie, I'm releasing it as far away from the big boxers as I can. Not because I'm necessarily afraid of those movies, but I don't want to take the chance of if I'm trying to make a box office dollar. Because Tom Cruise, he wants everything in the theater, and he's the producer of that movie. He held back Top Gun being on streaming, going straight to streaming. So he wants to make that theater money. But you can't release that kind of movie with that kind of investment in the middle of all these other movies. It just gets, it's just too much for the pocket. How you doing, Vince? Hey, I need to talk to you offline, man. I got some really, really kick-ass ideas I need to go over with you. I was going to try to reach out to you before I jumped on, but I'm old. I forgot. But William, can you understand my line of thinking saying that Denny Villeneuve was pissed off? Yeah, I understand. But I also understand that not everybody is me and Denny that love his movies. It's just the reality of it is that the movies he's made, although they have all been great in my opinion, they don't have that kind of appeal to the point where it would have built the following that it did and been able to greenlight number 2, like that. I mean, I will always contend that the day and day release did not cost Dune the kind of money people think it did, because us geeks and people who love his movies and love that IP went out and saw it, and we weren't going to watch it anywhere else. I understand his anger, but okay, so if you release Dune without PVOD, majority of the people who wanted to go see that movie wanted to go see it in IMAX. The same thing with Top Gun. Even if you had released Top Gun on thing, majority it would have still made decent money. But it's also Top Gun. It's also Maverick. It's also Tom Cruise. Denny Villeneuve is not a household name. He's not John Carpenter. He's not even Christopher Nolan, even though I think he's better. But I just don't believe that there were people who really were in love and were going to see Dune even multiple times, just watched it on HBO Max. I know a lot of people did, but the majority of those people who did watch it solely on HBO Max were not going to the theaters to see it. Now, I will never be able to prove that, but trust me, when you talk to people, and we promoted Dune too, along with everything else that got released in that day in and day in. Right? And most of the people I tried to push Dune on looked at me like I had grown antlers and a red nose. They just didn't know, they didn't understand, or they had a vague understanding of the IP. And those are the same people that gave it a shot on HBO Max. And like I said, if I have the option of you never seeing the movie, never giving the IP a chance, or you seeing it on HBO Max, I would rather you see it, because guess what? I want you there for Dune 2 and Dune 3 and everything else. But I know just those fans just weren't going to be there. So I understand. I completely understand what he's saying. But from a business point of view, the people who weren't going to see Dune, that saw it on streaming, that was the only place that they were going to see it. They were not going to the movie theaters to see this movie. And now they have. And now we can justify Dune Part 2. So that's where I'm at on it. Yeah, it was deep into the pandemic, and this is when Omicron was really, I think, taking a big hand. Because remember, Dune got released in October? So, and once again, even, as much as I think the pandemic was a factor, I didn't think it did to Suicide Squad what everyone else thinks it did. I think it had an effect, but I think Suicide Squad having a movie built on characters that no one knew who the hell they were played the major factor in that, because, like I said, Godzilla vs. Kong, an IP people know about and is globally famous, made a good, decent amount of money during March of that very same year, where there was no vaccine. We were still losing people at a decent clip. You're just now starting to get back into theaters. In fact, for me, Kong vs. Godzilla was the first movie that we put back in theaters. So we were in a much scarier place in March of 2020 than we were in August of 2020, which is when Suicide Squad. Yes, the Omicron variant was there, but the deaths were way down. There were more percentage of people that were vaccinated at that particular time, and we had been in the routine of the movies for 6 months at that point. So it's give and take. I don't think the pandemic affected Dune that much as well. I think the people who saw Dune in the theaters, who wanted to see Dune in the theaters, saw Dune in the theaters. That's why it made 400 whatever million, when a lot of people were expecting it to do Blade Runner numbers and lose money. So that's where I'm at. JR Server, how are you doing? Something I've been thinking about for a while. Why do you think Zach was so reluctant to share details of Joker killing Robin in the full? I don't know. I think he wants to, if that story is ever going to get finished somewhere, I think he wants to leave that ambiguous for someone else, even if it's not him. If somebody else takes up the storyline, he wants to leave that for that particular person to tell, since he's not currently telling. That's all. That's just a guess. I don't have a concrete answer for you. That's just a guess. William, catch me up. How's the new format? You still doing comic book covers? I have not debuted my comic book covers. I have to film the intro. I have to film the intro. I have here. Let me show you what he's talking about. I have the actual generic intro, but I have a personal intro that goes before the generic intro that lets you know, hey, welcome to the premiere episode, so and so, and all the like and subscribe stuff. And then I have to do the voiceovers for a part of that as well. But here's the actual raw intro, the portion of it there. Okay, so that's how it's going to open up, and then it'll lead into me talking. I have, like I said, the very first one I'm doing is Amazing Spider-Man 323. That issue I got signed by Todd McFarlane a few weeks back at SCCC. So I'm going to be doing that one. I hope by tomorrow night to finish all the film. I got to film some more stuff at the store, and then I'll add it up to the program I got going. And then I have some more after that as well that I'll preview. But once I get the nuts and bolts of it going, I just have to insert certain things, and then it'll be a lot quicker after this first one. So yeah, I'm working on it. New format. You'll notice more of the new format on the Sci-Fi Center Saturday Night Live tomorrow's show. Change the format up a little bit. If you notice, I've added some topics to that show to spread things out and just basically make it so that it's 3 hours of me talking about things that make me happy and things I enjoy. So that format is we tested that out last week. I think it's one of our more solid shows. So yeah, that's happening, and I will be doing some changes to these shows like this. I'll probably be doing less and less of them, depending on where Enosh puts his programming. And I'll probably be, when you see me on the Point Action Lounge, the majority of the time you see me will be on one of his shows or on a panel. I'll still have a stream every now and then, but the bulk of my stuff is going to be original content that'll air from my channel. All right, so back to that. Let's get back up here. Thunder and lightning. All right, William. One of my friends is a big Batman fan who is talking to me on Facebook, and he says the two storylines he wants to see is Long Halloween and the Killing Joke in live action. Can they work? Yes, definitely. Long Halloween's a little bit. It's longer and it will be a little bit harder to adapt. As far as because if you look at some of the Batman movies that have come out, a lot of them have adapted a little bit from that already. Killing Joke is something you could easily do. If you look at what they did with Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, you could easily go in that direction. Not with that particular Joker, but in general, it's gonna piss a lot of people off the truer they are to the story. But yeah, you could definitely do it. Your elements along Halloween. Yeah. Batman Begins, the Batman, and Dark Knights. If you look at the Joker, he based some of his Joker character off of that. William thought of Christopher Nolan used blasters. I answered that. Yeah. That's a practical effect theme that he picked up. A lot of war movies used that in the 50s. Thought on Blue Beetle directed to use the film potential ties to Booster Gold series that possibly exists and it's something that we want. I have absolutely no use for Booster Gold on any format. I don't care if it's thumb puppets, cartoon, comic book, motion picture. The two characters that hang around and loiter in the Justice League atmosphere that I have more use for Nort, the Green Lantern, than I do for those two characters. And I know that's going to piss a whole bunch of people off because people are, I love the Blue Beetle. I grew up with the Blue Beetle. That's fine. Congratulations. I hate those characters. I absolutely cannot stand Booster Gold, and I hate Blue Beetle. Any version you give me. I don't care if it's Jaime Ray. I don't care if it's Ped Court. I hate the concept of Blue Beetle. I hate the effect he had on Justice League story, but that's me personally. I'm a crotchety old dude. I just can't stand those characters. So just the coming of Booster Gold, tell me that you won't want me sitting in front of whatever you're selling without telling me. All you have to do is show me Booster Gold, and I'm gonna sit that one out. I cannot stand that character. Aaron Taylor Johnson rumors that the new James Bond, when recently asked about this Bond, he didn't deny it. It's really not for me to say anything because that's because Barbara Broccoli and the Broccoli family haven't made a decision yet. He'd be fine for it. He'd be fine for it. He's young enough to give them the 10 to 12 years of movies that they want. So. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I will meet you halfway on this one, Vince. It's too sci-fi-ish for normies to pay to see it outright. I do think in the comfort of their own home, without the risk of that Benjamin, that they will give it a chance. Worst case scenario, if you don't like it, you can turn it. But if you do, now you've eliminated all the, everything in between you and the theater going experience, and now it's just on your TV. I think it's not too science fiction for them to enjoy. I just think it's such an abstract concept that it may have been too much for them to take the risk on financially. So that's what I mean. That's Okay, I'll get with you. All right, I'm going to skip some of these ones because I think I answered some of these. I'm hearing mixed. I'm hearing everybody who's seen it says I've only heard one commentator. I'm not going to bring up her name because I have a policy of bringing other YouTubers, but I'm a subscriber to her channel because she's hilarious, and she's Latina, and she gave a review of it, and she destroyed it. So there's one opinion about it that, and the way she articulated her video, it just made me laugh. But most of the people say they like it. Most of the people say it's standard fare. So I can't tell you whether it's better than The Flash because I haven't seen it yet. I love The Flash. I would have done some different things with The Flash. There would have been some decisions, obviously, that I would have made. I've already expressed those. But as it was, I rather enjoyed The Flash. So I can't really, like I said, can't really, make the comparison until I see it. William thought on director Antoine Fuqua says his upcoming Michael Jackson biopic will show the good, the bad, and the ugly of Jackson's life. We're just going to do so. The fact that if you're gonna do a biopic, if you want to be taken seriously, even though Bohemian Rhapsody was had a certain percentage of bullshit in it, it was overwhelmed by the good. They took some liberties in Bohemian Rhapsody that I'm like, all right, okay. Well, but with Michael Jackson, you have it's different. It's different because you have the seedier side of his existence versus the world's biggest fandom at the time, and you have to tell it all. Otherwise, it's going to be no one's going to take it serious. So, well, thought of the movie's box office earnings can be hurt for around 15% without actors' promotional work due to steal. Oh, I think it's way more than that. I think 15% is kind. I'm thinking it's like 25, to be honest with you, minimum. Because some of these big name stars, you need to have that interaction. You need to see them on these press junkets. You need to see them on your YouTube. All these big name YouTubers that interview these guys, like Cinnabon, all those guys that bring these guys out and put all that stuff out there. You need to have the talent. You need to have all that stuff. For the average Joe, who, like I said, the diehard guy is going no matter what. You don't have to give me a guest appearance on any TV show to get me to go see Dune. I'm there. But Joe Average, who's on the fence, he needs that stuff. And you need that stuff to get him in. So, yeah, I'd say much higher than 15%. I think 15% is kind. William is hating on everything like Bernie Mac, Cop, and Don't Be a Menace. Oh, why did you have to bring up that movie? Like I said, I listen, and this is not a newfound hatred for Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. This goes back to, like I said, the creation of that character, or the Ted Kord version of that character, and every time JL would change the writer, here they come. And I'm like, oh my goodness. All the important people leave Justice League, and then I get the replacements, and the replacements are these two. And I'm like, let's go fill up the quarter bin with Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. I just cannot stand those characters. I don't know. It's just me. But I also feel the same thing about Deadpool, and a lot of people love Deadpool. And it's not a new thing. It has nothing to do with the movies. My distaste for Blue Beetle had nothing to do with the movie. I didn't like him before the movie. I would have never made a Blue Beetle movie. Your ass would have been a guest appearance at best. And if you got a good reaction, then we'll make a movie. But Blue Beetle getting his solo movie, dude. If I was a guy whose name was on the, thank goodness I'm not, on the corner office, and you come in, hey boss, hold on, hold your breath, boss. Blue Beetle. And I'm gonna do my best to hold a straight face, and for you to tell me, all right, I was just kidding, because if you don't, you may be directing traffic out in front of Warner Brothers' main office instead of inside the building. But that's just me. William, I think Gunn will make Booster Gold fit in his DCD well enough. That's right up his alley. Okay, well, I don't. Okay, here's the thing about this. I understand what you're saying, Spider-Man. I don't think Gunn has an alley in the way that people think he does. I think, yes, you've seen what he's done as far as like that type of characters, those type of characters. One of the cooler things about giving this guy a chance, even though it's going to take me forever to just warm up to all this, is that I think he has a lot more dimensions than he has released to us. And people think, well, Booster Gold and Booster Gold and Blue Beetle and all that fit his thing because they think he's only capable of doing the kind of lighthearted, semi-serious stuff. I think there's elements to everything that James Gunn has done that demonstrates that he can do a hardcore, serious storyline, even in Peacemaker, which was a joke for the most part. That fourth episode where he's coming to grips with what made him what he is and what his father did, that's some serious stuff right there. When Starro, when you realize that mankind is the enemy and it wasn't Starro, and Starro has that line that I was happy floating in the stars, and then he finally dies, and you realize that it was humanity and us that were the real villains. I think James Gunn is capable of much more than he is displayed. I just think we've never seen him in this capacity before. And plus, he wouldn't be writing Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. He would probably give it over to someone else. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, either way, I don't care who's doing it. I could do it out of Booster Gold for the rest of my life. But I know I'm going to get it. William thought of Flash in the theatrical run with $268 million worldwide. Budget was around $220 million. I thought it already ended its theatrical run. But because it's I think the Flash is on PVOD right now, making its money there. So, and I think it'll round itself out there. I think the Flash will, at worst, come close to breaking even, if not a little bit more. And then once again, you want to make money. I understand you want to make money at every instant, but you also don't want to lose money either. So it's a mulligan. What are your thoughts on my last exam on the games? I don't have too many because I never read the books. I've never, ever, and I will never read a James Bond book. So I've only seen the movies, so I can't really give you a decent answer because, like I said, I don't read a lot anymore. Thank you, Stephen King, because once I read The Stand, I promised myself I was going to stop reading novels. I've read a couple since then, but no, I do not. I have never read a James Bond novel. So I couldn't make an accurate comparison for you. Sorry, man.
All right.
No, I'm never giving you anybody's anything. No, no, you figure it out on your own. Last thing I need is somebody. Do you know somebody Port 1000? You know what he said to me? He cracked a so and so joke, and I'm like, oh my god, no, Forrest. They'll see your avatar and be like, who the what? No, Forrest. I am not giving you. I'm not bridging anything. I'm not bridging Port 1000 to anything. No way, man. By the way, Forrest, did you see Blue Beetle? Now, how are you going to give her the view if you didn't? Oh, give her the view. Oh, as in the view, as in views. What's her Snarky J cosplay? Oh, actually, you know what? I don't think you're actually gonna do anything crazy. But let me, because her review of this was so hilarious. I'm gonna put this in here. She's just funny. But her take on this one, and you'll see why. I'm not gonna play it on here because I don't want to get kicked out. But yeah, I even made a comment in there because I was totally expecting a different review from her. She gave her that one. I don't even know. Like I said, having seen the movie, I can't agree or disagree with her review, but her presentation of the review just made me laugh. I watched it before. I came on. Blue Beetle was good. Really enjoyed it. 8 out of 10. Okay, cool. Where would you rank it amongst other DC movies, Ateca? I don't know, since the biggest part of that character, spoiler alert, it's been 23 years, was killed in the movie. So I don't know if Ethan Hawke can carry the movie, or if, I don't know. You never say never, but that would be tough. Oh, for that loud, I was gonna get you, but you fixed Ted Cord as BB2. BB1 is the basis for Night Owl and BB2, but you know it already. You should do a segment on Charleston Cell and DC. You know what? I just might. Because obviously that ties right into Watchmen. But yeah, it's yeah, that's a very interesting topic. You did Charleston stuff and the stuff that they acquired, Captain Adam. There's a lot of interest. I think there's a documentary on there that I need to look up, do some research. Yeah, I enjoyed these movies. So, like I said, my issue with James Gunn is not that he can do it or not. I that's done with. And I didn't need his Marvel stuff to prove that to me. I watched his DC stuff, and enough of DC stuff. That guy has what is needed to do it. I just don't like the situation that they've created for themselves that might hinder that, and this really kills the atmosphere right now. How many times when it comes to James Gunn are we talking about the excitement of what he's got coming, and we're talking about the ambiguity of what they've left open by handling things they have? So if we can get past that, I believe James Gunn's going to put out some quality stuff. I wouldn't mind a Starfire movie, then a Robin movie, then a Raven movie, followed by Cyborg. Like I said, I just as a CEO, I wouldn't want to lose all that money. I mean, out of all those, the Robin one might have a shot. And I'm not saying it would be bad movies. I wouldn't want to see them, but you'd have to have a DC universe intact in order for those movies to be a worthwhile expenditure for people to risk the money. Unless you want some low budget garbage, low risk garbage, and you can have that. But by the way, the Gun Alley. I'm talking about his knack for cosmic over Marvel. Gunn was trying to get Marvel to do space in 2014, something I always appreciated. Yeah, and the only reason he didn't get it done sooner because that's not where Kevin Feige was with those phases. And Kevin Feige, as we know, once he has a plan for the most part, he sticks with that plan. So, I liked his Marvel stuff. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy 2.0. I wasn't the biggest fan of, but it wasn't a bad movie. I like Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3. I love Guardians of the Galaxy Part 1. So that's the Marvel stuff that I know of that he worked on. But I know he was in line for a much higher role before the whole Twitter thing happened, and he ended up coming over to DC. But he's a wonderful storyteller. I wish I could fast forward 3 years to get to his stuff and get past all this clutter, but unfortunately, that time in between is going to serve for fertile ground for malcontent for a lot of people, and it might stunt his takeoff. All right. Some of them are way off. It depends on how I'm feeling that day. Her cosplay game is pretty cool. She's spends a lot of time. I gotta respect that. Um, some of her takes I just don't agree with. It's a lot of these YouTubers that I watch every now and then. I'm looking for presentation and how, like, we could disagree on like a review. Like, we could be like total polar opposites. It's how you present it is what I'm kind of looking for. And I think she does a decent job of presenting it. This one was just funny. Like I said, this one I don't know why. Maybe it was just the time of day and I was tired, but I just got a kick out of this last one for her, and I wasn't expecting that opinion from her, so I thought she was funny. Yeah, okay. She'll probably ban you. Like I said, anybody who takes your advice on that movie and they do go ahead and watch it should ban you. Peacemaker was also Charleston, meaning Peacemaker predates the most popular comic character. Yeah, yeah. Let's look up. You know what? The more you talk about this, though, you could probably fill up a good hour on the Charleston characters because of, like I said, a lot of these characters when the purchase happened, like the question. I mean, you got a lot of characters that were folded over. Some of them didn't do that great, and some of them became legends. So yeah, you know what? Let me email myself here. I like that idea, Spidey. Hold on while I do the 1995 thing instead of writing something down. Because I don't feel like getting up from my massage chair. Charleston. Oh, it's mispronounced Charleston. Too. I learned rewatching my YouTube videos that I mispronounce a lot of shit. Sorry. A lot of times it's because I'm watching it or I'm reading it. Like, there was a guest I had on our show a few months back that I've known of for about 12, 13 years. We've emailed each other. She sent me her movies and I've screened her movies. And her name is Lou Simone. But she spells it Simon. So I've been saying Lou Simon for 12, 13 years. And when I got her on there, the first thing she came out, oh, by the way, it's Simone. I'm like, well, thank you for finally correcting me because I had never heard it said. So all right, I sent myself the email, Spidey. So you've just contributed to the content. Congratulations. All right, William, can you explain to me? Oh, sorry. Can you explain to me why the concept of Watchmen completely bombed in theaters? The comic was really good, but why didn't concept work in live action like it's supposed to? All right, so one of the reasons is one of the reasons why I think DC has a hard time now, but they weren't in that phase of using their heavy hitters. Watchmen is full of characters that nobody knows who the hell they are. I know who they are by heart. I read the book as it came out. Comic book nerds know who they are. But the general public did not know who the hell Dr. Manhattan was. They didn't know who the Owl was. They didn't know who Rorschach was. They didn't even have an abstract understanding of who these characters was. Making Watchmen was a huge risk based on that alone. Because it was always going to be expensive. Because just the Dr. Manhattan alone, if you were going to do that character any justice, and Zack Snyder did, that character alone was complex and expensive. And it's a period piece that had a lot of special effects on it, and it was a long movie. But as a fan of that story, I could not wait to get in to see Watchmen. And I thought Watchmen, it didn't, and I remember that because I was on the periphery of getting into promoting movies. At this point, I wasn't promoting the movies yet. I was just getting promotional items to give away from Warner Brothers. I wasn't in like I was in now. But if you look at Watchmen, I don't know how much they spent on advertising because all the ads I saw for Watchmen were in stuff that Warner Brothers already had. Like I bought The Matrix on Blu-ray or DVD, and that's the first time they had the Watchmen trailer with the Smashing Pumpkins song in there. That's the first time I saw the full Watchmen trailer. So they were, I don't know how much, but I know it was critically acclaimed. 2009, oh my gosh, has it been that long? All right, so its budget was anywhere from 130 to 150 million, and it made 185 million. So probably lost a little bit, broke even. But I know since then it sold. I know for a fact it sold a lot of Blu-rays, DVDs, things like that, home release, and I know it sold a lot of ancillary stuff like money. You know, I know fans enjoyed it. Critics gave it a 65. Well, how I feel about that. Let's see. Watchmen was the 35th highest grossing movie of 2009 and the 6th highest grossing R. That another factor. I'm sorry. That should have been my first point. R-rated. R-rated superhero movie. The one reason why, even though The Dark Knight, even though I don't know if it should have been above a PG-13, but there are a lot of movies that the MPAA would have said, you know what, just that kind of content, that's an R. And there are a lot of movies that should be R that are PG-13. Why? Because if you put that R rating on them, that will decrease your box office. I forgot. That should have been my first point. But the fact that it's an R-rated movie and the fact that it had a bunch of characters that no one knew, those are your two reasons. Watchmen was the 31st highest grossing movie of 2009 and the 6th highest grossing, behind The Hangover, Inglourious Basterds, District 9, Paranormal Activity, and It's Complicated. At the North American box office, Watchmen currently sits in the lower half of the 40 films on DC Comics comic book, narrowly ahead of 1997's Batman and Robin, which we all know had issues. Watchmen earned $26 million in 45 territories overseas. Of these, Britain and France were the highest. Box office was estimated, so blah, blah, blah. All right, accolades. Let's see. Now, once again, we did not have streaming, but we had physical media. So if you have a movie that costs about, let's say, $130 to $140 to make, you made $185 in the theaters, and you didn't spend another whatever, because I don't recall them being promoted that much, as like today's movies are. If you sold a certain amount in Blu-rays and DVDs and re-releases and everything else, and they re-released another edition, you could have made your money back a little bit over the years. But it's been 15 years; it's hard to tell. But that's your two reasons why, Montana. Sorry to spend so much time on that. I really enjoyed the 5-minute dynamic. It had emotional scenes. All the comedic side was good. Does the superhero aspect change the game? No, but it was solid. All right. William, I just watched the review you posted in the chat. Who is freaking hilarious. I couldn't take it serious. I couldn't keep a straight face through the whole Blue Beetle review that she was doing. Yeah, when she takes off her slippers, I don't know. That's not the funniest thing in the world, but I wasn't expecting her to do it. Her reviews are pretty tame for the most part. And she usually doesn't get emotional or high or low or anything. But doing this one, she was kind of funny. Like I said, I enjoyed her review. I don't know if Anthony's doing it 3 times. He may be doing it 3 times. Yes, Worth. I'm going to dress up like a walrus. How about that? All right. Let's see. I think Anthony Manzano is about to get banned because I might have been both of these people. All right, William, please tell me you weren't one of those people who still had a beeper and who's going to pay your phones to call whoever called you instead of getting a sidekick or a cell phone. Okay. Before I unleash hell on you, Anthony, when are we talking about? If we're talking about now, of course. If we're talking about a certain particular time frame, I may have been that guy. General audience saw Watchmen in the theater and hated it. I had no idea who the exact. And that's another thing is, I think half of the superhero success story is having a connection to the characters or having a connection to a universe that the characters are presented in. And Watchmen just didn't have either of those. It's a great movie. It's my favorite Zack Snyder movie. But you're talking about a decades-long comic book guy coming into it, knowing exactly, who these people were. So I wasn't the target audience. I mean, I was, but I don't know if I should have been. Watchmen problem was it was R-rated, exactly comic book movie during early comic book movies nowadays. The movie had a lot of bad word of mouth from people expecting a Freddy. Hey, there you go. Every now and then, Fourth will, even a blind dog finds a bone, and Fourth actually adds to the conversation. I'm just trolling you like you trolled me, didn't it? But this is exactly right. This is exactly right here. That scene where the comedian pummeling the civilians into the streets didn't matter if you were a man or woman. You got the same treatment. Oh yeah, I love that scene where he has the bean bags and he's shooting the tear gas. When he's shooting the tear gas and he hits that guy in the chest, and it's a flashback scene from him and the Night Owl too, and they jump out of the owl ship and he just starts shooting everybody. And Owl, and it's my favorite line in the whole movie and in the comic. And the Owl asks a comedian, "What happened to us? What happened to the American dream?" And the comedian turns around and Jeffrey Dean Morgan articulates this perfectly. "What happened to the American dream? It happened. All right, no, it came true. You're looking at it." And he says it in the most not comedic, but the most sarcastic way, that everything we ever wanted America to be, all of our exes had came true, and now we're living the consequences of it. And it was just I love that scene. I love that scene. All right, it's 12:14. Probably go about another 15 minutes. Not going to see Blue Beetle. My DC fan daughter is saying she's tired of superhero movies. We'll wait for the big ones, if any. And a lot of people are there too. Early 2000s. All right, listen, Mazzano. Not everybody was a high roller like you were. Not everybody had a cell phone universally until around 2006. So, hypothetically, if I did have a beeper in the early 2000s, if I did have, if I was using a payphone, by the way, payphones are still around in the early 2000s, that wouldn't be unheard of. I don't know what you're trying to imply, buddy. Anthony showed he was old when he mentioned Sidekick. Yeah. I'm like, hey, Anthony. Yeah, buddy. How old are you, Manzano? Blade was rated R for it started early 2000 comic book movie boom. Yeah, but no. Okay, Blade didn't have superhero expectations. Most people who saw Blade did not associate Blade with a superhero comic. They did associate Watchmen as a superhero movie because Watchmen presented itself as a standard superhero movie, even though it's in the facade of one, and that's the whole point of Watchmen is it's telling its story through that. But Blade was just a vampire movie with Wesley Snipes in it. That's where Blade made its money. X-Men is what kicked off the comic book boom, in my opinion. X-Men, because that was overtly a comic book movie that had comic book expectations and that met them. But Blade, I know more people who saw Blade because it was Wesley Snipes and it was a vampire movie than knew it was a comic book movie. So, all right, 31, and you're talking about sidekicks, huh? All right. I'm going to add 15 years. So whenever somebody gives me their age, I pretty much they're lying about 15 years of it. No, I'm just kidding. I think Watchmen is one of Zach's best movies. My only issue was Dr. Manhattan bomb that destroys the city. Looked really terrible and non-devastating. Like, another thing about Watchmen that I didn't like, and I understand why you had to do it because he didn't have the time to tell you about the squid monster. I love the way they did it in the show, but in the show they had 9 episodes to tell you, the story properly. So the fact that it was a bomb like that instead of the psychic squid, thing that was supposed to be, that was one of the things as a comic book geek that I would have liked to see in the end. But I understand that they only had the 2 hours and 45 minutes to tell that story. And I do really truly believe that the actual story with the squids and everything else, as told in the Watchmen show, in that episode 5 of A Little Fear of Lightning, one of the best episodes of the show, by the way. I think they did a better job because they had more time to give you context. So I can agree with you a little bit there. The reason why I brought up the sidekick is because, my much older cousins had it. William. Yeah, your cousins, eh? I'm 39. My first cell phone was in 2000. Whoa, you were loaded. Were you a pimp, that dude, Vince? Damn. Did you have a fur coat, too? My broke ass, man. I had to get a flip, but didn't have King, I got my first iPhone, 2008, whatever. Yeah, that had the Palm Trio was my first. Didn't have it long. Okay, I see. All right, guys, I am going to kick back and relax and finish eating my food and get the show ready for tomorrow. We will have our turning point storyline. I haven't decided what it is. I have some options, but it'll be good. It'll be something to talk about. I'm gonna put in the community page, the Sci-Fi Centers community page, to see what kind of content you guys. I have not used that community page like I should be using it. I've only posted one thing, and that was to let you guys know that there wasn't going to be a Star Trek show that week. But yeah, I'm going to post in the community page and see on the Sci-Fi Centers channel to see what kind of topics you guys want to cover, like as far as like musical covers. I got, I have another cover, a record cover tomorrow for that. What kind of storylines would you like to see me cover? Because like I said, I can come up with stuff for days, but this is an interactive experience, so I really do want you guys to participate in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So keep an eye out for that and let me know what you guys want to see, and maybe you may change the direction of the show. Until then, I will see you guys tomorrow at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Sci-Fi Center Overnight, our main anchor show of the week. Hopefully I got some better news about the strike, but I think it's going to be a fun show. I rewatched last week's show, and for the most part, I really liked the way that show flowed. And I think I made a couple of different improvements, and a couple of different things I added to the show, and a couple of things I've taken out of the show, and a couple of things that I'm going to institute in the show that I think will make it flow even better. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, I don't like. I liked it, but it was a crux of the story devastation. It was just very non-effective and poor looking. Was it really a bomb, though? What was he trying to do? I mean, I know it was supposed to mimic a nuclear holocaust, but at the same time, wasn't that something different that we'll talk about that later. All right, guys, please like, subscribe, share this video. Like and subscribe to Poindexter Lounge. Like and subscribe to Sci-Fi Centers page. Share it to the world. And if you do like the content, want to support it, you can always go to the link at the top of that's pinned to the page here and submit a tip. There you go. Like, subscribe, share, and keep us moving in the right direction. Okie dokie. See you guys at 9 p.m. later tonight.